Everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Good to see you all here. I decided it is time to do another episode, and I actually created a page for my cooking videos. I had some really good response from the sourdough bread one, so I decided to create a page called Cowboys in the Kitchen. I like to wear hats. I actually wear them sometimes even indoors because my eyes are very sensitive to light. So if you see me wearing a hat indoors, in my case, it's not rude. So I have not touched my sourdough starter since we did the sourdough bread. I'm going to hold it up close so you can see it's really liquid and it looks kind of icky, doesn't it? Well, we're going to stir it up. If I didn't use this today, it would have to go in the refrigerator. So I'm going to go ahead and use it today, and we're going to take a cup out of there and I'll replenish it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sourdough pumpkin bread. So I've got two 5x9 pans and got all the stuff out because I don't have a studio, a staff, 3 cameras, and 2 ovens, right? Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read this off as we're doing it. I am making a double batch for 2 reasons. Number one of the ingredients in this is pumpkin, obviously, because it's pumpkin bread. If I were going to make 1 loaf, we would use about that much of the can. And look how much we'd be throwing away. So I'm going to make 2 loaves, and we're going to use this much of the can, so there's only a little bit that gets wasted. So anyway, not only that, when you make 2, you have 1 to keep and 1 to give away. So anyway, we're going to start out with sugar. In this case, sugar is treated as a dry ingredient. There are some recipes where sugar you would consider it a wet ingredient because it dissolves in water. And we're going to need a cup of sugar. So I'm going to dip in here my handy dandy little sugar container. And watch it spill everywhere. No, it won't. I'll get a little more there so it's nice and level. There we go. Got that. So we've got the sugar. It says 2 cups of biscuit mix. So we're doing a double batch, so it's going to be 4 cups. And I've got a ½ cup measuring cup, so there's going to be 8 of these. And yes, I'm using Bisquick in this case because it wants biscuit mix. I should have opened this beforehand. This should be a test of strength right here. Oh, it came open real easy. Good. I don't look like a 98-pound weakling on live Facebook, right? So I'm going to do 8 of these. And this stuff is kind of lumpy, so I'll dip it and push it back out and dip it again. Make sure we get a full ½ cup in there. So there's 1, 2, get all that in there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more, 7, and last one. Got 8. Okay, so I'm going to set that over aside, close this back up because knowing me, I would knock it over and it would go everywhere. There we go. I'm going to set that over there. So we've got a couple of spices that go in here. It calls for a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. In our case, we're going to be doing 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. There's someone watching. Hello, whoever it is. I can't see the camera from here. So we need 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. There we go. And we need a ½ teaspoon each of ground allspice and cloves. I've got my ½ teaspoon here. I'm going to do cloves. I'm going to even that off a little bit. There's that. I just heard someone dinging me on Facebook, so I don't know if someone's trying to send me a message while I'm doing this to tell me something. But we'll find out. And half teaspoon of allspice. And we got that in there. Okay, so we got all the spices in that we need. I'm going to take a spoon. If you're mixing dry ingredients, if you're baking in any way, shape, or form, and you have dry ingredients, mix them all together beforehand unless the recipe says do otherwise. And the reason is, if I had just this 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and I waited until everything else was mixed and I went and stuck it in the blender, in the mixer, it might not get all incorporated in there. If you mix it all together, when it's all together dry, I'll kind of show you this a little bit. See, this is very uniform. It's kind of off-white. You can't tell there's like lumps of spices in it. All right, so that's all the dry stuff. For the wet stuff, I need, and hopefully, oh good, we still have some. Need 2 eggs. So there's an egg per loaf. My friend Bob Bridges asked me the last time around if the sourdough bread was heart healthy. This is not necessarily heart healthy, which just means, I'm going to go ahead and move you guys over here, because I don't have 2 cameramen, 3, there we go, assistants, there we go. Who is watching, by the way? Hey, Ryan. Good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to go toss a couple of eggs in here. Not the shells, just the eggs. And it says mix them to, stir the eggs. Well, you're in a big bowl, so just go stick a spoon in there and stir them all up. You don't have to turn the mixer on them, because that much is hardly worth doing anything with. Okay, and it says add the pumpkin in. Pardon the noise. It's going to get loud. Oh, no it won't, because I unplugged the wrong thing here. See, now you know why I need a studio and a staff and 2 ovens and all that. There we go. Isn't that loud? Okay. This is going to call for a cup, so we're just going to kind of wing it. I know this is, how much does it say? 15 ounces. So we're going to use most of this. That's usually about right. And it calls for raisins. How many raisins do you need? Canned pumpkin, half cup of raisins. So we'll need a whole cup of raisins. Big raisin fan myself. So I got a 1/3 cup measuring cup here. I'm kind of have to try those out because raisins are sticky. And that's not going to work. So I'm going to get my hands sticky. Oh well. Wouldn't be the first time getting my hands messy in the kitchen. Won't be the last. So there's about 1/3 of a cup right there. Go paw out another batch. Okay, note to self, pre-measure the raisins beforehand, because otherwise people go, what's he doing? Alright, and I need 1 more, of course. Oh, this is icky. Alright, a little bit more in the way of raisins, there we go. That makes it about even. That's a good cup right there. Alright. So I'm going to set this up. And we need the sourdough starter. So I need my wooden spoon for doing the sourdough. Because it's got to stir it up. You don't want it to go everywhere, so you got to be really careful with the lid. There we go. get good and stirred up. Man, I'll tell you, that smells good. Love the smell of good sourdough starter. Okay, there's that. And I want something that'll measure a cup. About right. I'm going to put that in there. Now, when we did the sourdough French bread, we used the bread hook. We don't need that for this. We're going to use the paddle. Alright, I want to make sure I've got everything that we need. Let's see, starter, pumpkin raisins, milk. We need 3/4 of a cup of milk, so we need 1.5 cups of milk. Now the recipe says you can add walnuts, but I'm not a big walnut fan. My buddy Timmy said, don't put walnuts in it and bring me some. So I won't put walnuts in it. Whether or not I bring him some, that's another thing. So we're going to bring this up, start that up. Actually, we're going to plug that in first. See, studio, staff. But then I would also need a schedule. There we go. We're going to let that run. You need to preheat the oven to 350. And while that's mixing up, I'm going to take this wonderful stuff, Baker's Joy. They don't give me any money, but I love it. We're going to use that to grease these pans. There we go. Get that on there. And now we get to add in our dry ingredients. You want to let that get all nice and mixed in. You don't want to let it get too thin. But it also should not be lumpy, other than the raisins. The raisins aren't going to make it lumpy. Okay. So I'm going to take you guys with me here. I'll unplug this. And I'm going to show you. I don't know if you guys can see. That's what it looks like. It just kind of looks like thin, almost like pumpkin soup. You can take this, drop it down. You can take the paddle off and tap it a little. I'll set that over there. Bring the bowl out. And set my pans over here. I'm just going to pour this at first. Not all of it, not even just half of it. Because if you do just the first full half and then the rest over here, your raisins will all wind up, well, they won't all wind up being on one side, but it will be uneven. And I'm going to get, oh, there it is. Set right over here. See, maybe it's a good thing I don't have a big studio, right? All right. So I'm going to let you nice folks go. And the oven is still heating up. And after this goes in the oven, how long do they go in for? 50 to 55 minutes. My guess is for this, it's closer to 55. I've made this before. But I will come back to you guys and turn this back on when they're coming out of the oven. Anyway, you guys take care. God bless. Bye. Well, hey everybody, welcome back. It turned out that the timing was just right. I had just enough time to pick up all the stuff for making food here in the kitchen before the oven got heated up to the right temperature. And I got the sourdough starter replenished, so it's sitting there working. And in about 30 seconds, the beeper will go off and we will pull bread out of the oven. Now this is going to be a fairly short little blurb episode, what have you. Once again, there's no studio, only one oven, no staff, one camera. So I'm just going to pull the loaves out of the oven, and we'll take them, we'll put them over on the cooling racks over there, and we're going to leave those sit because they got to cool off before you can ice them. And I'll come back in a little bit and show you how to ice them. So there's the beeper going off. We'll open it up. Hey, look, we didn't burn anything. It's always a good thing when you don't burn things. And we'll show you what those look like. And what we need to do here is take this and set it up here, flip the other baking rack over, and then, nope, that wasn't going to work. It worked the last time I did it. Let's see, I'll just kind of turn it real quick. Just want to, we need them out of the pans. That's what we need. There we go. Came out just right. And I didn't cuss on Facebook. There we go. That's the important part. And here's the other one. We're going to take that, and we can actually take this and flip it over. And then kind of sort of do the same thing here. And they fall right out because I use that Baker's Joy stuff. So pans will go in the oven, or pans will go in the sink. There we go. And we'll close up the oven and turn it off. And we'll see you guys hopefully in about an hour. Take care. God bless. Hey everybody, welcome back. Last thing we got to do is ice the bread. Now I do have to tell you one thing. When I was putting everything together and getting ready to put it in the oven, there was one ingredient that I forgot. It wasn't a critical ingredient. It's not like I forgot the pumpkin, right? It was cooking oil. They want 2 tablespoons of cooking oil in it. So it would have been 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil. There we go. That's what we wanted. But the only thing it would do is if this stuff sat out for days and days and days, it would dry out quicker. So my guess is it's going to get eaten a lot quicker. So what we need for the icing is, let's see, 2 cups of powdered sugar. Now I only don't need to double this because they said half of this would work on the 1 loaf. So we only have 2. So I could just make the regular amount. Hang on a second. I have to go silence the dog. Stop it. See, that worked out well. There we go. All right, and it calls for 3 to 4 drops of yellow food coloring because it's golden glaze. Okay, here's the part where they lied to me. And they lied to you. It says 2 tablespoons of half and half. If you put just 2 tablespoons of half and half, I've had concrete that was set up that was looser than this. So 2 tablespoons is not going to cut it, but we're going to start with 2. And it's half and half. We're going to go 1. Why the stick? Then we're going to go 2. I'm going to start stirring it, but I can tell you right now, it's just going to be thicker than all get out. See, it's still mostly powder. There's a lump of goo at the bottom. It's still mostly powder. There's a lump of paste at the bottom. It's still mostly powder, and it looks like I'm stirring scrambled eggs in there. Yeah, this is not for me, the right kind of... I like to have icing that I can actually drizzle on there. It's a whole lot easier to drizzle it. So I'm going to go 1. I'm going to double up on the cream. There we go. 2 more. See what happens now. Oh, we're back to goo. Goo is good. It's not too bad. I'll probably do, see here, see how that's still pretty thick. So I'm going to put like 1 more tablespoon or a little bit shy of in there, and that should do the trick. Yeah, this is what we're looking for. It's all nice and stirred up. Now watch this. When I pull out the spoon, it should do like that. It should actually be a little bit runnier than that, so I'm going to still do a little bit more. About a half a tablespoon. Get that stirred up in there. Yeah, now it's really liquid. It'll still run, but it's going to, as it dries on the bread, it'll... See, now watch. Ooh, there we go. That's what we want. So I'm going to bring you over with me. And here's our bread. And see if I can set this up. Remember, 1 camera, no cameraman. There we go. And they're a little bit warm. It's okay if they're a little bit warm. You don't want to do this on there when they're hot. And so I'm just going to drizzle this out there. Another thought I've had is possibly adding one of our essential oil flavors. We have wild orange, and we have another one called Citrus Bliss. And Citrus Bliss looks, or not doesn't look, but it smells exactly like if you had creamsicles when you were a kid. That's what it smells like. And to think that, you know, this is kind of golden, almost an orange colored icing, it'd be kind of nice to see what it would be like with an orange flavor to it as well. Carla said don't mess with it though. If she's having it, she doesn't want that orange flavor in there. And we're not even going to wind up using all of the icing on this. There we go. I suppose I can do 1 more over here. And yes, it's going to leak through the baker's rack and down onto the counter, and I'll clean the counter later. So that is what they look like. There you go. So Bree, if you get your hubby in his car and send him over this way, I'll send you home with some bread. Anyway, you guys take care. God bless. Have a nice evening.